All right. Welcome back, everyone. Let's start a new lesson here talking about savings. And specifically for this one, we're going to be talking about the idea of setting up smart, clear financial goals for yourself. Hope you guys are all doing okay out there. I will say it is a beautiful day out. And, well, statistically, usually the flu virus does not thrive in warm weather like this. So there's no data out there about the coronavirus yet. But let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that this warm weather isn't good for the coronavirus. We shall see. Anyway, like I said, today's topic is on setting up financial personal goals for yourself. The objective that we have for today will be for you guys to identify short-term, mid-term, and long-term financial goals using a SMART goal template. In class, at some point in the future, I'm probably going to have you guys put together your own personal goals on which you'll be evaluated. For this video, we're just going to go ahead and explain the template that we use. Real quick to recap from our previous videos, if you want to go back on my channel and watch the first two videos that I put out, the first one dealt with the importance of savings for specific goals like we'll talk about today, as well as for rainy day funds. It also talked about simple versus compound interest and how your savings can grow for you. The second video talked about the different savings vehicles or savings account options that are out there for you guys. That includes our simple savings account, our money market account, and our certificate of deposit. Go back and check out those videos if you haven't seen them yet. If you're following along in the Microsoft Word notes that I sent out with this video, it's Module 3-1, Stark Notes. Specifically, you're looking at Section 2, which is on Smart Financial Goals. It starts in the middle of page 2. I'll give it a moment for everyone to get caught up and find those spaces on the notes. Alrighty, so first of all, talking about what these goals are. So, when you hear about financial goals or personal goals, you'll always hear the terms short term, medium term, and long term thrown out there. To be quite honest, there's no appropriate definition, there's no set in stone definition of what is a short term goal versus a medium term goal versus a long term goal. It varies depending on whom you ask. In fact, for you guys, since most of you high school students are still very young, your short term goals are probably going to be a little bit more immediate, and then your medium term goals will probably stretch out further than, say, 5 years or something like that. But when you look at these things, it's basically looking at things that you want to be able to afford financially. You can see for some of the examples when it comes to short term goals, that might be taking a holiday. I think that's the English way of saying a vacation. It might be affording a car, or it might be affording your marriage again in the future. Let me tell you, as someone who's planning it now, weddings are expensive. Medium term goals. That's when you start thinking about those bigger things, all right? In some cases, a car might be a medium term goal, but it also might be some personal things like starting a family. It might be actually putting a down payment on a house. This person here mentioned taking a break from work. That's certainly a possibility. There's also things like getting set up in your career, or a very common one for this current generation, which is trying to pay down your student loan debt. That's another medium term goal, which usually lasts somewhere between 10 to 20 years. Now, by the way, these don't have to be specific numbers and dollar amounts that you put on these goals. Case in point, let's go ahead and highlight the one right here in red. All right, starting a family. Sorry, that wasn't a highlighter, that was a pen. Anyway, starting a family, there's no specific dollar amount that it costs to start a family. But you do want to be on a timeline and you do want to have some specific goals in mind for that. You don't want to just be winging it when it comes to starting a family. I'll tell you personally, my fiance and I do have plans to have kids someday, and we do have a timeline for when we want to achieve that and what milestones we want to have achieved in our life before we get to that point. Long term goals, that's where you're thinking about the big picture. I'm thinking 20 years and beyond usually. That's when you're thinking about, most importantly, retirement or your children's education, or maybe owning a house or a second house, whatever it might be, whatever your plans are for the long term for yourself. All right, so by the way, you've heard me throw this term out there, SMART goals. We love in the world of finance to use acronyms. Helps you remember things. And SMART is another example of that. The S in SMART goal means that your goals should be specific. Make sure those goals are clear. A good example is what you see in this slide here. They have a car. It's not enough to just say, I want to be able to afford a car. You want to be specific about what type of car you want or the amount of money that you'd be willing to spend on a car. So rather than just saying, I want a new car or a new truck, be specific. What type of truck do you want? What do you want to get out of it? Or how much money would you be willing to spend on that item? The same thing might apply for your career goals. You don't want to just say, I want to be settled into my career in the next 10 years. Be specific. What career do you want to be in? Where do you want to be in that career? What do you want to have achieved? Set specific and clear goals for yourself. The next aspect of a SMART goal is the M, which stands for measurable. This is one of the most important aspects of a SMART goal. Measurable refers to how you are going to track your progress towards meeting that goal. You want to have a planned method of following your progress there. There's really two parts to that requirement. Number one, do you have a specific account or investment in which you're going to save money towards meeting that goal? Maybe let's say you're talking about going on vacation. One thing you can do is set up a separate account for that goal. Or if you're talking about a long-term thing like your retirement, make sure you have separate retirement investment accounts, which we will discuss in a later time. Also, how much do you want to put away into that account and how frequently do you want to do that? Set a plan for yourself. Make a plan such as I will save $100 a month to meet this goal. So again, make sure you have a method of tracking your progress, whether that's a financial goal, like something you're saved up for, or a personal goal, like a career goal. Make sure you're hitting certain milestones along the way. Okay, so the A and the R in your SMART goals, those are pretty straightforward, but they are important. The A in your SMART goal means that your goal must be achievable. Basically, this has to be something realistic for you. Case in point, if I am working and operating on my current teacher salary, it is not going to be an achievable, realistic goal for me to say, I want to be able to afford a brand new Ferrari. That's just not going to happen on my salary. And to be honest, unless my YouTube page here blows up, anyway, to be honest about that, if I set that as my goal, I would get discouraged and quit pretty quickly. So it doesn't make any sense to set that goal in the first place. Next, that goal, and on a similar note, has to be relevant. It has to be something that means something to you, or else you just run the risk of giving up on it and not caring about it at all. So make sure if you're setting goals, make sure they are relevant to your future. In fact, if you ever go in and meet with a financial planner in your future, one of the things that they're going to ask you for are these goals. What do you care about and what do you want to achieve? Once they get that figured out, they'll come up with some specifics for you. They'll help to make your goals measurable by tracking them. And then they'll probably set up probably the most important part of your SMART goal, which is the final aspect, the time constraint. Hear me out here. It makes no sense for you to be setting a goal up if you're just going to leave it open ended. For any of these goals that you want to achieve, you want to set a deadline for yourself. If you don't set a deadline, you're just going to keep ignoring it and pushing it off to the side. You need to make sure you set some deadlines for yourself. So again, time limits, they can be flexible, they can be adjusted. Case in point, we're dealing with an emergency right now with the coronavirus pandemic. I'm fairly certain a lot of people are having to put off some of their financial goals for a little bit. But you still want to hold yourself accountable. You still want to set time deadlines for yourself. All right, so here's an example of a SMART goal. All right, and this was actually one that was personal for me. This was one that I set up for myself, and I actually followed this last year. So my old goal was to say I want to save enough money to buy an engagement ring for my girlfriend. Those things are expensive, just so you know. But that's pretty vague. We don't know how much I'm willing to spend, and we don't know how I'm going to get there, and we don't know when I want to get there by. So my SMART goal, you can see here, I updated that. As I said, I will put 5% of my paycheck away in a 1-year certificate of deposit. Remember that account each month, as well as 50% of my tax return from this year. So I also took some of my tax return money. I will use this to buy an engagement ring within 15 months, which will be an important step towards our life, towards living our life together. So again, you can see here my time constraint, as well as the fact that this is relevant to my life. All right, so another example of how you might want to transition one. This is another short-term goal. But maybe you might want to say, well, I want to save up enough money to go to Europe on vacation. Again, that's vague. We don't know what it's going to take or how you're going to get there or when you're going to get there by. So, a SMART goal, maybe a more appropriate goal, might be something like I will save up $1,500 in a separate sub account over the course of 10 months between September 2017 and June 2018, a total of $150 per month, so that I can fund next summer's exciting trip to Europe. So again, this person gives himself a method of tracking it. They talk about when they want to achieve it by. They have specific amounts that they're looking for. This is a very, very well written goal. So to recap again, when you set up goals for yourself, you want to make sure that they're clear. I pointed this out earlier in the video, but if you ever go to see a financial planner, maybe you get a little older, you're thinking of starting a family, buying a home, things like that, they're going to ask you what your goals are. And then they're going to help you narrow down these specifics and these time constraints. Basically, you're doing professional financial planning work here, but you can do it on your own. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful for you. As always, feel free to message me on Canvas via email or through the Remind app if you have any questions. I'm really enjoying doing these videos, but please let me know if you have any feedback, if there's anything that I can change for them. I'd love to hear it from you guys. Hope you all take care and stay healthy during our break here. Peace.